Hi guys. The fourth grade teachers decided that this week we wanted to give you an opportunity to continue to work on narratives. So I'm going to be reading a short narrative today called Those Wacky Shoes by Julie Amory. And then afterwards, you can look at this prompt, pull it apart, use the organizer, and type a response below. So when you start typing in here, okay, it'll keep going down. So before I read the short narrative, let's look at the prompt. So imagine that you, like the girl in the story, find a pair of wacky shoes that won't come off. Write a story about how you find the pair of wacky shoes and what happens to you when you are wearing them. Use what you have learned about the wacky shoes when writing your story. Okay, so let's read this story. I thought it was going to be an ordinary Saturday, but boy, was I wrong. I bought some shoes at a thrift shop downtown. They were blue and red checkered slip on sneakers. Unusual. I liked them. I put them on outside the store. I got ready to turn right, toward home, but my feet turned left. It was as if those wacky shoes were in control. I tried to stop to take them off, but my feet wouldn't let me. I quickly realized that those shoes were going to take me wherever they wanted. Those shoes walked me up Main Street, nice and slow. After a few blocks, they turned my feet left, up Pine Street. They started picking up speed. I passed a woman walking a beagle. She looked down at my shoes and said, "Did you get those from a secondhand store downtown?" "Yup." I hurried along at the pace of a speed walker. "I was stuck in those shoes once," she said. "They took me all the way to Vermont." "How do I get out of them?" I shouted over my shoulder. By now I was running. "You have to outsmart them," she yelled back. And she said something else, but by then I was too far away to hear. Great, I thought. Someone tells me to outsmart a pair of shoes, and I can't. This doesn't speak well for my brain. We turned up a dirt path, heading straight for a huge oak. I put my hands over my face, certain I'd smash right into that tree. But my feet started climbing up the trunk. I grabbed the trunk with both hands to keep my balance, and we went higher and higher. Did I mention I don't like heights much? I tried not to look down. I kept going, my heart pounding like a giant hammer in my chest, when suddenly my feet slipped. So those shoes weren't perfect after all. I grabbed a branch with both hands and hung. It was sure high up there. Somehow I managed to pull myself up to sit on a branch. My feet were still. It seemed that when they were on something solid, those shoes weren't quite so tough. I tried to pull one off, but it was latching on with all its might. What should I do now? The good thing about being stuck in the tree was that I had time to think up a wild idea. I started yelling. Since I was in the middle of nowhere, I had to yell for what seemed like 100 years. Finally, a kid rode up on his bike. "Can you do me a favor?" I called. "Can you get someone to bring me a bucket of wet cement? It would really help me out." "We've got a cement mix in our garage," he said. "I can make some and bring it to you." And off he went. Just like that. I like a kid who doesn't ask a lot of questions. Eventually, the kid came back, walking this time, and pulling a rusty wagon behind him. The wagon was filled with wet cement. "Hey, thanks," I said. "Now I'm going to start coming down the tree. I want you to put the wagon right under my feet. When I get low enough to jump—" "Got it?" He nodded, and I set to work, unshimmying from branch to branch, careful not to let my feet touch anything. I didn't want the shoes to take over again. When I was on a lower branch, I jumped. My feet went lurp as they hit the wet cement. "Now, can you find a couple of strong people?" I asked. I stood there in the cement while he was gone, my stomach feeling all twisty. I was scared and excited at the same time. The boy returned with a boy and a girl. They looked at me strangely, but I just said, "Could you yank me out?" They grabbed me under my arms and pulled. My plan worked. The cement had held the shoes in place, and I came out of them. I was free. "Thanks, guys," I said. "I guess your shoes are stuck in there forever," the girl said. "It's okay, I was done with them anyway." Then the wagon started rolling down the path. It gathered speed, took a left when it got to the road, went steadily up the hill, and was soon out of sight. I sure hope those wacky shoes know how to drive. Okay, so you're going to imagine that you find a pair of shoes like that girl in the story. And you're going to use what you learned about the wacky shoes when writing your story. So you want to write a story about how you find the shoes and what happens when you're wearing them. Okay? So there's space for you to do that here. We're really excited to see what you guys come up with. I hope you have a good rest of your week.